When he turned his back from shoulder to shoulder, it looked like as wide as the tailgate of a truck.
And just darkness, literal darkness, just came like all over, just all over me except where I was standing.
This thing let out the most blood-curdling, mind-blowing, spine-tingling scream that you've ever heard in your life, and it cut through me like a knife.
And I knew that they were going to take me. I just knew it. And then the next thing I can remember is being levitated.
Well, when I look in there, I see two big eyes staring back at me.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Bump Podcast, a place for the believers of the unexplained, monsters, and paranormal. Join us, and we'll go face to face with what goes bump in the night. Hey there, believers. I got another fun episode for you today. Please excuse the glasses. These are, I guess, blue light blocking glasses. I'm showing my age. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I stare at screens all day now at work and then come home and do the same thing. I'm just trying to give my eyes some relief. Anyway, for those of you that's not watching on YouTube, then we'll just carry on like normal because you can't see me. Today we're bringing on Shetan Noir. She's been on the show once before, and I threw out an invitation to who would like to come back on the show or who would like to be on the show, and she responded, and I'm very excited to have her back on. She is a very, very busy lady. She's an author. I believe she's an editor. She's got a magazine or two or three or four. I'm going to let her explain all that. She's already in the waiting room. Let me go ahead and just bring her on. Here we go.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's show. Apparently, I'm going to introduce everybody. So I'm Shetan Noir, and that's Bo Kennedy, and we are on the Bump Podcast.
That's right. That's a very enthusiastic hello. I like that. That's that's way better than mine. Oh,
Hey, I'm a professional. This is what I do.
Yes, this is what you do. Yeah, I was trying to do a little pre-intro, and I was like, I know she's got a magazine or three or four, but you said you have 5 magazines that you publish now.
5, yes.
Wow.
Because I don't like to sleep.
Why don't you tell me all about those? Tell me like
Sure.
what they are, when they come out, where they can find them, and all that kind of good stuff.
Okay, so they come out quarterly. So winter, spring, summer, fall. I try to keep to that schedule. And everything's available on Amazon once it is published and I release the links. So the 5 magazines are Squatch GQ magazine, which is more about eyewitness sightings, maybe folklore, current popular trends in cryptozoology, TV shows, movies, things of those nature. Then there's Cryptozoology Digest, which is a little bit more scientific. The fall issue focused on eDNA, and there was interviews and articles from different scientists who work with eDNA and people who professionally collect eDNA and how the applications can be applied to cryptozoology. And that one has Lyle Blackburn on the cover because he had just released a book on sinister swamps, which I found very fascinating to read. So Lyle got the cover of Cryptozoology Digest. Then there is Into the Liminal Abyss Paranormal magazine. That one covers everything but cryptozoology, paranormal, high strangeness, ufology, haunted locations, high strangeness, all the cool stuff like that. And for our listeners, if you hear a growling in the background, it's not the Dogman, it's not a werewolf, it's nothing cool and cryptid like that. It's my old miniature pincher. She's guarding her bone underneath the desk from the kitty cat.
Are you sure you're not doing like a Wes Garmer and you have like a Bigfoot in your garage that you're studying right now?
Nope. I can't afford that food bill, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the local farmers would get really mad if I let the livestock, kill the livestock. So
Yeah.
nope, it's just, that's my old min pin, the 10-pounder. The small one everybody knows me for. She is in the bedroom guarding her bone and probably eating it by now. So the last two magazines are ones that are even more near and dear to my heart because they're things that I'm very passionate about. And that is Dinosauria and Prehistoric Creatures magazine. That magazine, I do interviews with leading paleontologists from around the world. And it focuses on all different kinds of dinosaurs, flying reptiles, prehistoric marine reptiles,
Yes.
prehistoric creatures, in-depth articles about individuals of those creatures, fossil locations, museum exhibits, traveling dinosaur attractions. I try to cover all of those, so you get a very in-depth, very well-rounded magazine. Now that one, I have been so excited because I have just released the 3rd issue of it, and each one of the issues has gone #1 seller within a week of it being released. Now, my newest baby to the group, Rock Hound and Prospector magazine,
Yes.
has been out for 2 days now, and it is already a #1 new release. So the current issue of it has the gentleman, Eric, who found the Uperlights and named them. I have an interview with him about Uperlights, but there's also articles about bumblebee jasper, amethyst mining, shark tooth hunting, Michigan's fossil coast from Petoskey all the way over to Alpena. That's where you find all those cool Petoskey stones and ancient marine corals that you can find on the beaches up here. They look really cool, polished up, and so I have information and articles on all those things in that magazine. They're all available, like I said, on Amazon.com, and all you have to do to find any of the magazines is type in Squatch GQ magazine, because that's the name of the publishing company, and that will bring up all of the current magazines that I offer. Unfortunately, it also brings up the old version of the magazines that the former owner had published on there, but I don't believe those are available anymore. Okay. But mine will all say available, ready to order.
Fantastic. Wow, you must stay busy.
Pretty much, yeah. This is I always tell, like, for the past 3 years, I've told myself, well, you can sleep in January because you don't have to travel. You can just hibernate with the winter. Unfortunately, I found that you can get bored sleeping.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand that yet as somebody who really loves sleep, but I just don't do a whole lot of it. I get 3 hours here, maybe 2-hour nap there. But this is going into 2023, so getting more and more of the hang of publishing my own magazines and building up the content, and working out the slag time for traveling and stuff like that for new events and paracons, and just to get content for the magazines. So that's it's always a flexible schedule of
Yeah.
when I can fit things in.
Yes. I'm trying this year to do more conventions and stuff.
Yep.
I'll wind up making it to like 1 a year because
wow.
yeah, I'm working full time, and then I got like you know, there's church a couple days a week, and then on the weekends you got to go grocery shopping, you know, because you know, life.
Yes.
And it's just like there's never really free time. So I'll make a promise that I'll try, and sometimes I come through, sometimes I don't. I think I did two. Yeah, I think I did two this year. I don't know.
Oh, well, that's better than none.
Yeah, I'm already on the list for a couple for next year, but
Awesome.
they're hard to they're hard to keep up with. There's so many now. It's like
They, you know, there really, really are. And it's like, I was just having a conversation with a event promoter last week, and they were like, well, we can't run this weekend because there's this, or I said, it doesn't matter what weekend you pick, you're always going to be in competition with another event because everybody wants to run events now. And those of us who, you know, do presentations at events, I'm kind of excited that new events pop up because there is such a backlog from, you know, the shutdown with COVID, that even events that are taking place in 2023 are trying to like what do I want to say? They're still trying to work with, you know, presenters that they had to postpone for 2020,
yeah,
and you know, then 2021. So really 2022 was the year that all those contracts should have been fulfilled, but there's different, you know, schedules and some people aren't available, so it even is getting kicked back into 2023.
yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to like everything being open and getting back on schedule with everything and being able to do much, much more.
Yeah, for sure. One in particular is the Mothman Festival.
Oh, yes, yes.
It's like I was trying hard to get in there for 2022, and it was just no, that there's no room. And then so I'm eyeballing it for 2023, but I don't know if I'll be able to get a seat. It's probably already reserved, so I'm going to try to go for
That
the
is,
Flatwoods Monster. Yeah.
yeah. So the Mothman Festival, I want to say, is the biggest cryptozoology event in the United States.
Yep.
It takes up the whole strip of road from where the mural for the Silver Bridge is,
Yes.
all the way down to the other end of the street, going out of town.
Yep.
So that main drag right there where the Mothman Museum is, it's packed
Yeah.
with vendors and presenters, and it's huge.
Yeah. They estimated like 10,000 showed
Yeah.
up for 2022. You know, I used to go. I went almost every single year, but then you know COVID hit, and I didn't. Obviously, they canceled it. But just to attend, I went. I wanted this year to try to get at a vendor spot,
Right.
be part of the action. Not happening. Maybe 2023, maybe 2024. Who knows? But I'll at least try to show up this time.
Yeah, that is one of the weekends that I always find myself booked in Pennsylvania for some reason. Which, you know, I love the one event that, you know, was happening every almost every September there, because it was at a campground in Pennsylvania. But I don't know if they're going to do it anymore. They unfortunately, the gentleman who was hosting it, he passed away. We lost him in, I think, 2021. And another event stepped forward to take it over, but they were trying to run the same weekend. So I don't know if that's going to become a conflict, or and Pennsylvania is I'm in Michigan, for everybody who doesn't know. So like Pennsylvania and West Virginia are both far away, but if I were to choose and be offered a speaker presentation spot and a vending spot, I would definitely go with Mothman.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just so big.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
so big. the weekend before that, I believe they're trying to do the Flatwoods Monster Festival. And
Now, I didn't know that they actually had a festival for that. So,
this is just the second year.
okay.
I think 2021, I think was the first year, maybe.
Okay.
So it's like the second or third one that they're doing. It's still a baby. And they did it on the street the first year. Decent turnout, wasn't crazy. I was a vendor on that one. And this year I think they're trying to do it at a like a convention center or something like
Okay.
that. So it'll be the weekend before Mothman, I think. So it's like the first Saturday in September. But I'm sure there'll be plenty of stuff out there by then to
Okay.
let you know the details. You talked to me just a minute ago before we started recording about recent experiences or more recent experiences. Because last year I had you on and you told me about this Sasquatch sighting you had, and I might try to loop a clip of that into this show as a
Okay.
recap. But you said that there was something else that you've encountered and dealt with more recently. Would you like to share that with us, please?
So I had an interesting experience back in, I want to say it was early June of this year. I was headed up to the Menominee Bigfoot Conference in Menominee, Michigan, which is up in Michigan's UP. And Menominee is just on the border of Michigan and Wisconsin. So it follows Route 2, which drives along the Lake Michigan shoreline. And I had my little 7-pound miniature pincher with me, Tegan. And there's one rest area. If you're not familiar with the UP, your rest areas and your towns that actually have more than one building are few and in between. Okay. You're in very, very beautiful, but very desolate landscape.
Yeah.
Because there's just not a whole lot of places to stop. Like literally, where to fill up your gas tank, depending on which direction you're going.
Right.
So there's a rest area right outside of Newbin Way, Michigan. And it's a very nice rest area. And one of the things that I like about it is you can actually walk out onto a pavilion gazebo and then walk down onto the Lake Michigan shoreline. And you have access to the beach and the lake. So I decided time to stretch my legs and was walking my miniature pincher up and down the beach. And we had gone, when we walked down, the pavilion gazebo, I went right and walked her a little ways down the beach, and we were getting swarmed by the little gnat flies. So I thought, well, I'm trying to get her to go potty. So I walked her back the other way. And then there is a stream, a stream cut that comes through the beach and goes into Lake Michigan. So I thought, well, I'm going to walk down there and get pictures of it. And I got within about 15 feet of the little stream, and my miniature pincher started like tugging back at her leash. She didn't really want to go forward. And so I was looking up and down the beach to see maybe there's a dead fish or something she's interested in, but I really didn't see anything. So me, being I do a lot of travel writing, I do a lot of photography, and I always like to get different angles of things. So I wanted to get closer to this stream cut to get different, details of it. And as I was getting closer to it, I noticed these very big paw prints in the sand.
Yes.
Now, I walked past them at first, and I looked at them and I thought, those are interesting. And it didn't, because my focus was I was going to take pictures of this stream, this, gully that goes into the lake. And I thought, well, let me get pictures of the stream. So I got pictures of the stream. And then as I'm walking back, I once again approached this line of tracks, and I noticed that this line of tracks comes down the beach from the highway, goes straight down to the water, but there's no return tracks. So this creature went down into the lake, was drinking or bathing or maybe trying to catch fish. Wherever its exit point was a different route than what it took down. Now, this line of tracks is about 150 feet
Wow.
from where I parked my car at the rest area.
Wow.
So it's at this point that I decide, what are you doing? You're a cryptozoologist. Get your phone out and take a damn picture.
Yeah.
And I'm always lecturing people. I'm always yelling at people, put something in the picture so we can get a size comparison. And I'm like, well, I have my dog. I have my cell phone. I have my driver's license, in my cell phone, the little sleeve on it. I'm like, but these footprints are half the size of my own foot. I'm like, what better comparison than to show how big these footprints really are? So I put my foot next to one of them.
Yes.
And
I will share that.
If you can see on screen right now, that's my little black min pin.
Oh.
My little poodle mix that is on my chest right now. Tigan, say hello. Okay.
Adorable.
Now, my miniature pincher, her paw print is about the size of a quarter.
Yeah.
She has a very compact, very cat foot paw print. These tracks are what we call a hare foot. So more like a German Shepherd's or a Siberian Husky or a wolf. A longer paw track means that these animals have to are used to traveling over larger expanses of ground at a higher, faster pace. Now, this paw track is wider than my foot. I have very wide feet and half the size of my foot. Now, I wear a men's size 10.
Yes, and we're looking at it right now. I hope you can see it. Yeah, that is wider than your foot.
Yep.
From one side to the other. That is wider than your foot.
And what you'll notice is, so it had rained the night before, because this was early in the morning when I came upon these tracks. And you can see where the rain has pitted the surface of the sand.
Yes.
But these paw, prints are pressed into the ground.
Oh yeah, you can see it. It's got a good shadow, so it's pretty good intention.
So I weigh about 170 pounds, and I was barely leaving any impressions in the sand. My miniature pincher, who's 7 pounds, her paw prints weren't even showing up.
Right.
So whatever made these paw prints, it was after the rain had come, because you don't see pitting in the actual track. You see pitting where the raindrops were hitting the ground around you. So this animal left these very distinct footprints in the ground. This has to be a very heavy canine.
Yeah.
Now I took these pictures, and like I said, I was on my way up to a Bigfoot conference. Ken Gearhart was there, Allison Jornlin was there, Barnaby Jones was there, Jay Buchanan from Finding Jay was there, and I'm showing everybody these pictures, and they're like, well, we know what it isn't. And I'm like, yes, I know what it isn't too,
Yeah.
but what is it?
Right.
And so everybody who's seen those is like, ooh, where's this location? And I'm like, very easy to find. Just go along Route 2 along Lake Michigan and look for the rest area that's right out of Nubian Way. It's a little city up there in the UP, and that's where these tracks I found way back in June, and they're probably not there now, but who knows what else could be running up and down that beach, or when it runs up and down that beach. I mean, it's got a huge fresh water supply right there, and it's got ample hunting grounds.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, the UP, if there's ever a place for a Dogman or a Sasquatch, the UP
That would be
is
the
like,
best place.
yeah.
There's fresh water, an abundance of fresh water. There are okay, that is she's being a drama queen right now. And she also knows that if she touches the phone screen, it makes the screen go away, so she gets my attention.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that little black leg that's coming towards the screen, it's not an apparition. It's Tigan, my mini min pin poodle mix, trying to be a brat. She's being entertaining.
Yes.
But no, the UP of Michigan has just about everything you would need if you were an apex predator, a carnivore, an omnivore, a vegetarian, any of those three.
Yeah.
You have all the resources you would need in Upper Michigan. And the only thing that would be a detriment would be that they do get a lot of snow up there, but there are a lot of abandoned buildings up there, a lot of abandoned mine shafts.
Yeah.
And these are all potential areas where Dogman, Bigfoot, whatever can hide out and seek refuge from the elements. Not to mention, there's a lot of old growth forest up there that I'm sure something has built, more than one shelter in to, keep itself comfortable.
Yeah. And the
During the,
canopy is just so thick up there too. I mean,
yeah. So it's a prime habitat, and there are big towns in the UP like Marquette, St. Ignace, Sault Ste. Marie, Escanaba, but they're little pockets. When you look at how big the UP is, the human population up there I would say it's closer to like what you would experience in Alaska,
all right.
where there is vast expanses of roadway where there's just nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Like I
furthest
said,
north.
I literally know where to stop and fill up my gas tank to the point where, it's ready to overpour. Because there's nothing for, 100 miles or more.
Yeah.
And I'm always amazed if I'm driving along, and sometimes you get rerouted because of road construction or something like that. And you're like, oh, hey, there's a Dollar General here now.
Well, there's always a Dollar General. Yeah.
That's like the testament of if there's a growing population in the area, is there a gas station and Dollar General? Okay, you're doing good then.
I think the furthest north I've ever been in Michigan was I went camping with my buddy Doug, who is like a hardcore skeptic, won't even listen to my show, my best friend in life. He hates everything about this, but we went camping, and it was a little place called Interlochen, I think is what it's called.
Oh, that's where all the music camps are for like bands and choirs and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, there's a lot of camps in that area for music development.
Yeah, we went camping and fishing up there. It's beautiful.
Oh, it is.
It's
It's
beautiful.
very beautiful, but you better like nature, or otherwise you're going to be like, oh, another sand dune,
Yep.
another stream. Oh,
Yep.
look, more pine trees.
Yeah, and big black squirrels. With
Oh
like
yeah,
the squirrels are weird up there, but I like it.
we've got all three colors. Well, actually, we've got four colors. We've got the blacks, we've got the grays, we've got the browns, and then we have very light blonde ones,
Yeah.
which are really stupid. Not that the animal itself is stupid, but they don't realize they're blonde
Right.
and they're playing in pine trees.
Yep.
Like there's no camouflage in that. There's no hiding that. They don't last very long.
No, I imagine not. I imagine not. Now you had another another story about a possible dog man, but this time it was a sighting. Is that right?
Yeah. So this also happened in the UP,
Okay.
and I was traveling through the UP. It was just past the sun had just gone down, so it was dark, but you don't come across them often, but there are stoplights and stop signs in the UP. Now, I had just come upon one, had stopped. I was looking straight, in front of me. And then, of course, have to, look to side, make sure nobody's coming. And then I proceeded through the stoplight. Now, as I'm looking up ahead, about 75 feet in front of me, this very large, I'm talking black bear or bigger, an adult black bear or bigger. So a couple 100 pounds, at least, this animal weighed. And it went from the passenger side of the car, leaping and hitting the middle of the highway. It was a 2-lane highway, to being onto the other side of that lane and then off into the woods. Now, the details that I could make out, this animal was very dark brown to black. It had a snout. It had a tail. It had a more level top line than what a black bear would have. Now, the ears I couldn't make out because that was a small detail from 75 feet away that and plus this animal was in movement as I was approaching it.
Right.
And I did not see if it was chasing prey across the road, if it was running from something. All I saw was this animal do bounce, 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 run. And it was a leaping motion as it went across the road. So it was making very good use of the distance that it was covering because it covered it quick.
Yeah.
And the only reason I actually caught it was the fact that I was looking after I made sure I wasn't going to get hit by anything. And I went, through the intersection. I was looking straight ahead to see what was in front of me. And
Right.
that was the only reason I saw it, was it just happened to be crossing the road at that time. Now, my headlights were on. So it knew that a vehicle was approaching it because it could see the headlights. I didn't notice a change in odor once I passed that part of the road. But this creature clearly was not afraid to cross the road in front of me. Didn't care if I saw it or not. So it's either a very bold predator or it, was in pursuit of something and just really didn't care what it was, crossing in front of, or, who saw it or what.
Right. Well, a couple things. One, if you saw a tail, then it wasn't a bear.
I know.
Yeah.
You got to remember, my mom is the bear curator for the North American Black Bear Center. She literally she has bears living out of her, outside of her house in the woods. in Ely, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Big bears. So I am, I go up and visit her at least once a year and stand outside and take pictures of the bear. So I know what a black bear looks like.
Yeah. And they're not really
from,
leapers either.
from 5 feet away to 50 feet away. And so, and the one thing about black bears is they have a very rounded top line.
Oh yeah.
From their head to their butts, it's a very rounded shape.
Yeah.
Grizzlies have more of a flatter back and more of a straighter build. Black bears are very, rounded.
Yeah.
So I don't believe it was a grizzly bear. I don't believe it was a bear of any kind. So the next question is, okay, we know that Bigfoot doesn't have a snout,
Right.
doesn't have a tail. So what other big sometimes bipedal, sometimes quadruped creature could be up there? Like, I don't care if you see me or not, I'm going to leap across the road.
Right.
I know, because I've worked with dogs almost all of my life. I say I was born into dogs because my grandfather had police canines, and we used to help train them, feeding them, playing hide and go seek so that the dog could track us. And I've worked with dogs all of my life. There's not a dog breed that I know other than a sight hound that can do a gait like that, where it's a leaping, bounding. But this would have been, if you know what a Sluky or a Borzoi look like, this would have been a 400-pound Sluky or Borzoi to match that size description and to be able to move like that.
Yeah. On size, are we talking like bigger than a deer?
We're talking about the size of an adult, full-grown black bear,
Okay.
if not bigger. So we're talking probably a 700-pound animal crossing the road. It
Wow.
wasn't a moose. It wasn't an elk, because I did not see a rack on top of the head. And the way that the body moved was not anything that I have seen with something that a horse or a moose or a deer could do.
Okay.
This was very fluid and just one bound at a time. Now, I know that deer can do that. I've seen deer fly across the road.
Right.
But the fact that I had my headlights on and this animal didn't even pause,
Yeah. And it had a tail.
and it had a tail, and it was black in color.
Yeah.
Deer are that, weird brown mix of brown and gray.
Yeah.
Elk are the same. Moose are darker, but this was not a moose.
Yeah. I mean, you know animals. You know what their legs
Oh,
are going to look like. Did it have deer legs?
No,
There you
no,
go.
these were not deer legs.
There you go. Yeah. Are there? Well, still, you were close enough.
75. I'm guesstimating that I was about 75 feet away from it.
Right. And at the size you're explaining, if it was a wolf and it was maybe 15 feet away, it would be like that size comparison. But you can tell a distance. You're in a vehicle,
Right.
But,
And I will say the fact that from what I could see, looking out through my windshield, across my hood, and looking at this animal's back would have been higher than what the hood of my car was.
oh wow. Okay.
Not the roof of my car, but the hood of my car.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I drive a Ford Escape, and I believe that comes up to like my hip.
Yeah. You're
The
looking
hood
at
of my car comes up to I'm 5'8".
Yeah.
So
about 3 feet.
yeah, so taller, the top of the back of this creature was higher than 3 feet.
Wow.
So that pretty much makes it bigger than most canines. That wolf that would be running across the road.
Yeah. 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 You have one of those unexplainable.
Yep.
Wow. Wow. Michigan Dogman. There you go. Classic tale, right?
And it doesn't help that I know for a fact that um because I know there some Bigfoot researchers up in the UP, and they're like, oh yeah, we have more Dogman up here than we have Bigfoot now.
Wow.
And so it's like pretty sure that's what I've seen. So I've seen both of them. I've seen
Yes.
both of the big two, but a lot of some researchers, they've investigated their whole lives and they've seen nothing. But I do a lot of traveling, and a lot of places that I travel to are off the back roads,
Right.
because of the things that I go looking for.
Right.
I'm always looking for weird places to write about, or going gem mining, or fossil hunting, or hiking weird trails with my dogs. And so I'm not driving usually the main roads. If I am, it's just because that's the fastest way to get there.
Right.
But I drive a lot of backcountry roads, and when you do that, you increase your chances of seeing weird shit.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah, for sure. For sure. For sure. Let me ask you this. Well, a couple questions. I can't let you get away with saying something like you saw a dog man without asking a question.
oh, I wouldn't expect to.
One, what do you think these are? Because if it's chasing something, that would lean toward it being more physical than spiritual. But a lot of people think that it's demonic because it shows up weird.
So I think that Dogman, once they are here on our planet, they are a solid form. But I am not sure if Dogman is interdimensional or an alien species. But I do know that when they move into a territory, the Bigfoots leave.
That kind of explains my second question was, why do you think they're so prevalent now? Because they're
Because I believe that the Dogmen live and work in packs, similar to any other canine species here on Earth.
Yeah.
Wolves are pack animals. Coyotes have a family group. Foxes do a family group. Dogs work better in a pack, whether they're domesticated, a sled dog team, or feral. They will form a community because it's easier to hunt and kill prey as a pack than it is one solo animal trying to feed themselves or their young.
Yeah.
Now, on the opposite side of that, Bigfoots, usually with Bigfoots, you have a female with young. You might have a couple of females with young. And then you might have one solitary male that services like 100-mile area, or maybe a 50-mile area. But if you're a mother with young and your primary focus in life is to produce babies, raise your offspring to adulthood so that they can produce babies and keep the population going, then if you're protecting your young and you know that another apex predator has moved into your territory and they don't mind hunting and killing you, then you pack up your young and you go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how good the resources are. Bigfoots are very intelligent. If they're living in an area or a state long enough, they know where all the good food is, and they do form a route where they know where things are available each season. But if Dogman moves in, then that kind of marks that territory off, so they will go to a different area and set up their home range there. And if if that group of dogmen followed them into that area, they will just continue to move their families around in hopes of avoiding that predator.
That makes sense.
One-on-one, because people always ask me this, oh, who would win between a fight between one, an adult Bigfoot, male or female, could take out an adult male or female Dogman.
Yeah.
But Bigfoot versus a pack of adults and subadult Dogmen who are hunting as a group, you're just another item on the menu.
Wow. Wow, that's scary to think about, ain't it? You know,
I
yeah,
mean, think about it. A pack of wolves can pursue, catch, and kill a moose.
right.
And moose are one of the most formidable animals in North America.
Absolutely. Probably the most formidable
Grizzly
creature.
bears usually will not even attempt to take down a moose
Right. Yeah.
because moose are just crazy.
Yeah.
They are the angry horses of the world.
Yeah. Like a tank on stilts is what they are.
And they have weaponry. You
Yeah.
know, they have 4 hooves that hurt and are getting hit with those is like getting hit with a missile. But they also have that rack on top of their heads, which they will use to knock you out. And thinking that a pack of wolves can take down a moose,
Right.
that shows you what a teamwork scenario will accomplish.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's been well documented that a moose, even if it swims out into a lake, the wolves will just continue chasing it onto the lake, biting off chunks of it until they have wounded it to the point that it bleeds out. Then they will drag it back on shore and eat it.
Mm. Tenacious. Man. Whew. So stay away from the UP is what you're saying. If I
Well, you don't have to stay away from it. Just make sure you have a really good running vehicle
yeah.
and gas.
Heavy artillery, a fast car. Wow. Well, you sent me one of the magazines, the digital, the Into the Liminal
Abyss.
Abyss.
Paranormal Lighting. Yep.
Yes. And I scrolled through, and a lot of people would call this a synchronicity. Some people would call it coincidence. I call it I don't know. I just how things are going right now. Like the main article, page 8, was about Lilith.
Oh, yes.
I almost closed my email then because I don't know if you've been listening to the show or been up to date on the Facebook page or whatever, but I'm doing a side project, helping out, doing some guest spot stuff on an upcoming docu-series. They just put one out called Dark Holler. It's on YouTube. It's super cool. I had a little cameo on that, and it involves Lilith.
Oh, okay. I
Um,
didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Because I produced that magazine back in October, end of October.
Yeah, it's
And
the timing is weird, because there's a lot of okay, I'll get into a little bit of it.
and that was a article that was contributed. I didn't write that article.
Right,
Um,
right.
I believe George Dudding who wrote that? Think that was who wrote that one. But yeah, that was a contributed article. So
Yeah, just that Lilith was in there, and it came to me at this time. I thought, son of a gun, she's everywhere I turn. I mean, everywhere I turn. Even with some family members, there's been some recent discoveries that involve Lilith. It's everywhere. So it's just one more thing to keep us on this docu-series that we're doing. I'll have to share some details with you. I know I'm talking real cryptic. It's not my documentary. It's called Shadow Appalachia, and it's the
Okay.
guys from Sword and Staff podcast. I don't know if you listen to them or not. It's
No,
them.
I don't know that podcast.
It's them and me and Tony Merkel, the Confessionals podcast.
Okay.
He's doing a little bit, I think, later on with it. The guys from Appalachian Intelligence, I think they're going to get involved next year. But yeah, we're going into, you know, the paranormal underworld kind of stuff.
Ooh.
Going into these places that were used for maybe ritualistic use.
Uh-huh.
Maybe where old principalities and powers still have dominion kind of places.
Okay.
And you know, first part of the series, me and these guys, we actually found an abandoned ancient serpent mound on top of a mountain here in Logan County, West Virginia.
Ooh.
And
cool.
we got it all documented and everything. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff coming. But Lilith is a central character from the first series, the Dark Holler series, which I think you would really enjoy if you watched it. It's like 5 episodes.
Okay.
Super, super good. It's on YouTube. Dark Holler Films is who produced it. It's Ward Honey. But yeah, you sent me that and it's Lilith, and I was like, okay, I get it. but the magazine looks great.
Thank
It absolutely
you.
looks great. I scrolled through there. I would like to find a way to get, you know, an ad in there or something at some point.
I think I do have you in there.
Do you?
Yeah, because I was on your show last year, and one of the things that I decided to do was anybody who had me on their podcast, I was just going to put an ad in there for them, and you know, get them more listeners if I could. So
Awesome.
I
Yeah.
believe and I believe I have you in that magazine, and both of the cryptozoology magazines, the Squatch GQ and Cryptozoology Digest. So you're in all three of the weird.
Yeah. Oh, that's where I belong in the weird stuff. Yeah, I noticed my buddies from the Shadows podcast. I saw their logo. I was like,
Oh
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Shane, yep, I love Shane. Shane's cool.
Shane's my buddy. He'll probably send me a text after he gets this. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. But is there anything else that you wanted to make sure we went over today, or?
You know, I love interacting with the listeners of the shows, and so if there's anybody out there who has a experience, whether it's paranormal, whether it's UFO, whether it's cryptid, feel free to send me a message on Facebook or friend me on Facebook, and you know, we can see if it's, you know, enough there to do an interview on, or you know, if you want to write an article about it. I'm always willing to work with people who want to write articles for the magazine. So whether it's cryptozoology, ufology, the paranormal, high strangeness, dinosaurs, or prehistoric ice age creatures of any kinds, anything to do with rocks, minerals, precious metals, metal detecting, treasure hunting, any of that. If you would like to write an article about it, feel free to contact me, because I am more than willing to work with people about, you know, getting their articles into the magazines. Now, I don't pay, but I will give you a PDF copy of the magazine for your own personal use, and you can post it on social media. Hey, I have an article in such and such magazine. Because one of the things when you get into writing that you realize, whether it's writing for newspapers, periodicals, publications, anything, you have to have those bylines before a lot of places will pay you to write for them.
Yeah.
So send me those articles. Feel free to contact me. I am more than willing to get you into the magazines. And for people who do a lot of articles for me, if they are going to different locations, if this is what they're really passionate about, I do give press passes for people to use as an ID to do art, to get access to places to do articles on. So feel free to contact me about either your experiences or if you want to write an article. If you want me on your podcast, if there's other podcast hosts out there who listen to this show and are like, we love that girl, we want her on our show, reach out to me. If you have a Paracon or a cryptozoology event or anything like that, and you want me as a speaker or presenter, feel free to contact me. I have a whole list of presentations that I offer and can send you the information on. So I'm very approachable. I'm just an email away. Feel free to contact me.
There you go. Yeah. Tell me your email. Just make sure.
Yep. My email address is shetannoir@yahoo.com. And the most important thing, in the subject box, put presenter or the event name or article submission or please interview me. So that tells me who you are and why you're contacting me. Otherwise, I might just, think that it's spam and go past it. So, but feel free to contact me because I do talk to people and I am more than willing to work with people about, getting them published or, working with your articles or anything like that.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I'll be sure to put that in the show notes too. I'll put a link to your email so people can find you. Awesome. Well, Shetan, thank you very much for coming on the show again. I'm going to have you on a third or fourth or fifth time.
Oh yeah, of course.
You're a wealth of knowledge, and I feel like I just kind of just cracked the seal a little bit, and then put it back on. So, yeah, definitely. Just if you have an opening in another month or so, holler at me, and we'll line something else back up.
Sure. I mean, I like I said, my schedule is flexible because I make my schedule. Yes. And so whenever you're available, just let me know and I can work it in.
Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
You're welcome.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, excellent.
All right.